Over the past years, I've done a bit of traveling. Most of it was domestic because until 2019, I didn't have a renewed passport. And I decided to make this video just to highlight a little bit of what I've been up to since then because I have a lot of people in my life who assume I don't do anything because I don't brag about it on the internet, who presume that if you're not talking about it, it hasn't happened. And because out there's a girl who told me that she could not marry me because I was never going to be anything. Another girl who told me she couldn't marry me because she thought if she married me, she would become a hermit. And I thought that it was about time to show them that they were wrong. And because I wonder what they've been up to. Not enough to care, but if you care, here you are. So, this first image here is my trip to the Iberian Peninsula. I flew down here to Portugal. Then I rode the bus to Barrios, then to Madrid, Toledo, Pamplona, Zaragoza, Barcelona, Taracoa. And that was one trip. Here's another trip. I went to visit a friend of mine who lives right about here in Saint-Jacques de la Mer. And so I flew to Paris, took the train out to visit him. We headed out here into Bretagne. We went up to Normandy, did the beach thing, and then I asked him to take me on a Le Mans Tours, Rennes, Nantes. And fun fact, we talked a couple weeks ago, about a month ago now, I guess, and he said next time you come. So that was good. I guess we'll do this. This is from my latest trip. We'll zoom in on this part later, but I was able to go to Bologna, Calais, and Dunkirk just a few weeks ago. This highlights several trips in Europe. Down here, this is Austria, where I lived for a while, so this is Vienna. And then over here, this is Salzburg. Down here is Innsbruck. I got to spend a lot of time in the Alps down here into Bolzano, Bozen, whatever you want to call it, and then over here into Venice and Slovenia. So, and then this is a trip I took a couple of years back. I flew to Poland. I went to Witlice and Auschwitz. Then I went into the Czech Republic because I've been to Slovakia before. Oh, I didn't mark it over here. I've been to Slovakia before. I came down to Vienna to visit some people I know there. Headed back up through Prague, out to Berlin as part of that trip. This one over here is the first trip I took in 2019. My sister was living in Germany, so we went over and did Baden-Baden, the Christmas markets. I went to Strasbourg, so I've been to Lorraine. That was my first time to France up here. And then we took a trip over to Salzburg and then back. So that was another one of my trips. This was last year. Last year I went to Ireland and Scotland, and I basically in Ireland followed my grandfather's trek. I went from Dublin to Limerick to Killarney and out here on the peninsula to Cork to Waterford, and then I flew over to Scotland and was able to do a few towns here on the neck of Scotland. Glasgow, Falkirk, Stirling, Edinburgh, of course, and Roslin. And then this down here is from when I lived in the UK. I lived there for about 2 years. I think we lived about here. Hard to see on this image. But we made it out I didn't make it to Dover, but I've been out here in this area. Down here is Bath. Stonehenge is in here somewhere. I got to touch the stones. We went to a joust up here, made it up to York. And so these are all the places that I know I went, but I don't remember the routes because I wasn't driving. It's been a while. And then this is my most recent trip, the Low Countries. I flew to Luxembourg, went over to Trier, up to Edelbruch, Bastogne, Liege. This is Maastricht. I have a friend who lives here in Kerkrade, Netherlands. I went over to Cologne on my own, but we did this as a road trip. And then we went out to, like I said, to the northern France, Bruges, Antwerp, Brussels. And they took me to Waterloo before I flew home. So for those, it's been interesting to travel because I've learned that pretty much people worldwide are the same. They want to do things they love with people they care about and otherwise be left alone. So if you're nice to them and you're kind, they are very welcoming, especially if you try to speak their language. I don't speak Dutch, I do speak other languages, and if it was written, I could understand it because it's similar to German. But if they would talk, I didn't understand them. So I ended up speaking a lot more French than I expected because they do a lot of them, or German, depending on if they were close to Germany or Belgium. And I was able to figure it out most of the time without having to use English, which I don't like to do. Anyway, I recommend that you get out there and visit. I have other tours planned, but these are just the last few years to show that I do things with my life and I do go places. And it's nice to meet people and meet good people everywhere that I go. You don't have to travel to Europe. You don't have to leave your own country. But I do recommend that you get around and meet people, even if it's only in your neighborhood, your city, your community, because it gives you perspective. And every time I come home, I'm glad to come home. There are advantages to Europe and there are advantages to the USA. And I am grateful to be an American and live here. Anyway, Godspeed, especially in your travels, and may your luggage make it back home with you.